But that's right. I did see your tweet today where you saw that today was the 14-year anniversary of subscribing to me, which means you are literally one of the first ones, because I didn't post my first YouTube video until April 11th, 2010. So that means you were a subscriber of me within the first 4 days of my first ever video. And that's crazy, man. That is crazy. I did start my YouTube account, I think in 2009, but at the time I wanted one account kind of dedicated for wrestling consumption. Back in those days, I started noticing that a lot of wrestling was becoming available on YouTube. This is so great. And I want to like videos and save videos to playlists and shit like that. And so I just made a YouTube channel for that. It was meant to be consuming wrestling is all my YouTube channel was for. So I was like, okay, good mic work. That was the name I decided to give it because it was kind of a wrestling related name, but also could mean anything. So I was like, okay, that'll work. And then once I came home and about a year later with a brand new iPhone and was messing around with it and realized I had a voice recorder, said a few words about TNA. Then I went to the internet and Googled, how do you take a voice from your phone and put it on the interwebs, and learned how to create a basic video in a movie maker or in a video maker, figure that out like I'm 5, post that to YouTube. 14 years later, hey, look at us.
Look at us. Hey, look at us.
Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought?
Not me.
One thing the channel has taught me and has helped me with, throughout the years is just being able to articulate my opinions. And I felt like I was a pressure cooker back in those days because I didn't really talk about wrestling with anybody. I had a couple friends that, in the Attitude Era that I went to shows with, and we would talk in the car for hours and just everything or whatever. But just in general, I didn't really have an outlet. So I had a lot of stuff in me, and it's like, bleh, just kind of came out, and I didn't just fucking organizing it. Now I just feel so much better, and even just speaking in general, speaking in public, and, knowing when to let things bother me or to get mad about things. Doing this shit has actually helped all of that. I could give a fuck. Having this YouTube channel has made me literally not give a fuck if anybody doesn't like me at all. Could care less. And might not have felt that way back in the day. Might not have liked any criticisms or bad comments. I had somebody in my comments the other day, I talked about Will Ospreay, and of course I wasn't hard enough on AEW, so that of course means I'm a shill or something. But he called me baldy, and I'm like, I've had that one a few times. I'm like, you understand that that's not an insult, right? You understand that I am delighted and elated and spectacularly happy to be bald. I've never been happier. It's an unbelievable convenience. I never have anything to worry about. I'm better looking now than I was with hair. So calling me baldy is the same thing as saying nice car. Some people get awfully butthurt these days, and man, it's been a cesspool of bad behavior on social media in the past couple of days as well. People just seem extra miserable, and to see anybody else out there in life that's happy or doing good in their life or succeeding means that needs to be immediately torn down in their minds. And it's almost comical. And I think being on YouTube and doing this for so long helps numb you to that a little bit. Like I don't even get crazy haters. You guys are great. What a great community we have here. Even the ones I disagree with, we're usually like mostly respectful unless somebody's being a dick, but otherwise, it's not as aggressive and harsh and, and violent in the comments and stuff like that. But it's not that I don't have haters, though they do exist. But when they do, it's just like, okay, that's fine. Johnny Ass Boy, 16 numbers next to your name. I'm sorry that you're so mad at me that you have to use your mom's Wi-Fi to type out an insult to me. That's fine. But I'm happy. I'm happy. You're not. So I rest my case. But just seeing a lot of that in the last couple of days, it's been interesting. And when you think about how long I've been doing this, or long as people like Jacob have been listening to me, and seeing, how you change and evolve and mature, and grow and realize, okay, I don't want to do this. I want to be more like this, or, whatever. Those are all things you just have to like figure out. Nobody has the same personality they did the first day they started creating content that they do 10 years later. Everybody changes, and we change in life. When I moved to California in 2010, I was only 3 years removed from my 20s, or I was in my 20s 4 years earlier than that. And that is mind blowing to me, and I'm not the same person then. I have a completely different mentality on life. I was kind of miserable at my job on the East Coast. Love my job here. Love my side hustle, YouTube here. Makes me just overall a more generally happy person. Had I not moved here to the West Coast, stayed on the East Coast, working for a boss I hated, stressed out all the time, and then tried to be a content creator, you'd probably hear a lot of bitching from me. I'd probably be all mad at one company. I'd probably be all tribal as hell, doing nothing but trolling and yelling, and getting mad at other people who are exceeding in life when I'm failing. I very well could have been like that. And so I think I try to, being on YouTube now, even the most vile and repugnant haters, I try to kind of see where they're at and put myself in their shoes. I'm like, well, their shoes are dirty and their shoes suck and their life sucks. So they're miserable about it. That's what miserable people do. I try to just think, I'm like, well, to speak in this way or to be as vile and hateful as you are, does not mean you're happy. There's no happy people out there in the world doing that. There isn't. So when you see that type of envy, jealousy, hate, every comment on Tony Khan, it's his daddy's money, you're just envious and miserable. Sorry. Like, what do you think would have happened if Stephanie would have taken over? Where the fuck her money come from? Same place Tony Khan's did. They both worked for it, yes, but they were privileged. They had a leg in, but it's not like Stephanie sat on her ass. It's not like Tony Khan sat on his ass. I think these tired, unoriginal insults are very, very prominent amongst the world's most miserable. And that's what I've noticed. And I think there's a really good chance I could have been one of those miserable people. If I would have never started a YouTube channel and I just would have been a content consumer, I could see myself being an asshole. Yeah, I could see 26-year-old Greg being insufferable online. I could. I'm just being honest. But being on YouTube, doing this, creating a community, talking to you guys, and trying to enjoy wrestling, which at the end of the day should be the point. Nobody should be hate watching anything. At the end of the day, I formed a YouTube channel to talk about wrestling because, checks notes, I like wrestling and I like talking about wrestling. And once I figured that out and said, okay, that's the direction we want to go in, is to talk about wrestling, shit on it when it's bad, mind you, but for the most part, we're here to enjoy ourselves. Not here to be mad. Not here to spend video upon video yelling at what other people are doing. And that shit's everywhere. So I think it was probably around 10 years ago now, where I made that conscious decision that if I have any sort of influence at all in the wrestling community, if people are going to watch my channel and I'm going to have a moderately successful channel with a moderately decent amount of subscribers, I should value that responsibility to send my own message. And if people are going to come to my channel, I want them to know that what they see somewhere else isn't what you're going to see here. The message I want to spread is enjoy wrestling. The message I want to spread is stop fighting with each other and try to enjoy this form of entertainment that you claim to love. Stop getting involved in stupid, meaningless online wars with strangers that fuels the tribalism. What they do is they get themselves pissed off at the company's fan bases. That's where the freakazoid shit starts. How do people combat AEW freakazoids? By becoming a 10 times bigger freakazoid. That's what they do. Look at them. Everybody who has a problem with freakazoids, look at their timeline. That, my friend, is the definition of a freakazoid. So they are, battling zombies by turning into zombies. Is that good strategy? I don't want to do that here. I just don't want to do that here. So if you guys come into my chat, if you hang out with us and talk wrestling, for the most part, I want to have a good time doing it. For the most part, I want to smile and chuckle and laugh a few times, unless one of the companies does something incredibly stupid or we have some horrible fucking shitty situation happen where it's time to get serious and yell a little bit. For the most part, I'd like to have fun. I'd like to come up here and have fun because I enjoy doing it. I don't want to pace back and forth in my room before I go live, riling myself up to scream for an hour and a half. That can't be good for your mental health. And I don't think it would be good for any of your mental healths to come here and listen to that. So what I've tried to build on this channel is somebody that can get spicy. You guys know me. I'll get spicy. I'll throw out some crazy fucking shit sometimes. Like, damn, Greg, I ain't shy to shit on a Trump supporter or anything like that. I don't fucking care. Nope, not at all. But for the most part, I would like to try to be as respectful as I can, try to be the adult in the room, if I can, and try to, if I can influence anybody, is say, don't be like those assholes that are everywhere else. Try to think for yourself. Don't adopt everybody else's insults for other people that you hate and peddle them as your own, and just use your head. Like what you like. Don't like what anybody tells you to like, because that's what everybody does. If AEW does something stupid, you know what they do? They run right to Jim Cornette so he can tell them how they're supposed to feel about it. Am I the only one that thinks that's weak as fuck? And that's everywhere. So I want the opposite influence. I want to tell people, you're smart. You're a smart person. Think for yourself. And for fuck's sake, whatever you do, chill out on the aggression. Chill out on the aggression. You know what'll kill you quicker than cigarettes and fucking booze and being overweight? Stress. That will kill you. Do not be stressed out. Do not be overly cynical. I think it's important to be cynical sometimes. Don't be overly cynical. Don't be stressed out. Don't be an asshole, and respect people. And if you like wrestling, try to remember when you were a kid what made you like it. That's what I always try to do. If you're a wrestling fan and you're in your teenager, 20s, 30s, however old you may be, and you're mad all the time, and all you do when you're online is argue with people, separate yourself from that for a minute and think back to when you were a kid and why you liked it and what attracted to it in the first place and the fun and the joy it once brought you in your life. Because I think most fans, even the jilted, vile, repugnant twat waffles, had a time in their life where wrestling was very fun for them, where they really enjoyed it. Why aren't we enjoying it right now? We got two competing North American companies. WWE is selling out so many fucking shows, they have to scale back their sets. We had one of the best WrestleManias of all time. Both companies have got stacked rosters capable of putting on 5-star pay-per-views at any time. We have a shitload of over-liked baby faces in WWE right now that aren't too white meat, too generic, too fruity pebble, none of that stuff. We got Cody's and Jay's and Sammy's and Owens. Oh my. We have so much to be grateful for, appreciative of in wrestling. You want to go back to 2018? I don't. I'd like it right here in warm, cozy 2024, where everything's great and fun and not stupid and embarrassing. You know, and when I see people like, let's call somebody else out. Let's call it Eric Bischoff, who spent the entire WrestleMania week that just had tons of interesting things, lots of anticipation, lots of speculation, lots of enthusiasm going into the 40th WrestleMania with Rock and Roman and Cody and all this stuff. Motherfucker spent the entire week tweeting at Tony Khan or Dave Meltzer or AEW or whatever else, sitting there in buttfuck Wyoming, pushing 70 years old. This type of behavior should be way beneath someone like Eric Bischoff. But no, he walks around his home proud and accomplished that he possesses the trolling abilities of a disturbed high school dropout out of juvie who lives with his grandma. Ridiculous. You're an unimaginable tool, being that way. So, and he's somebody that people know has reach, I'm like, why are you feeding into this? I'm telling you, what's going to happen is one of these dumb little fucks is going to get themselves so angry. How many times have we already seen that in this fucking country? With a bunch of angry fucking man children, agitated and red-faced and slobbering, drooling mad over nothing, over some shit they've made up in their head. And they walk into a mall or a school and they blow away fucking 15 people. I think it's irresponsible for the Cornettes and the Bischoffs of the world who feed already disturbed and mentally unstable people who are already super miserable, super unhappy, and potentially dangerous. And what do? They feed them. It's like they feed them more hate and they just fucking gobble it up. And I'm telling you, one of these pieces of shit is going to go crazy at some point. It's going to happen. And I think that if I was in a position like that, where I had the reach of a Cornette or a Bischoff, I would be a little bit more responsible, knowing that you have an entire community incapable of their own thoughts and who need others to tell them how to behave, how to think, how to feel. That's how all these shooters are fucking born, man. So I just think that just feeding into hate and what's becoming very, very vile hate. Will Ospreay revealed on AEW that he has autism and went through I think ADHD or so. Oh no, dyslexia. That's what it was. Just people trolled him. People trolled him. Made fun of his condition. Call him the R word. But you think about the type of person that would say that. Go to their page. Go to their Twitter profiles. Here's what you're going to see. AEW hardcam pics, yelling at Tony Khan for getting his money from his dad, yelling at libtards, probably some Trump shit all over the place. And it's like every single one of them are like that. And I'm like, why are you like that? Why does the hate exist so heavily? I mean, hate's everywhere, but my God, why is it that specific kind of hate? The people that target, or I lost my father, I'm glad he's dead. Those type of people. Go to their timelines. It usually says Christian in their bio. Shit's everywhere. So in the 14 years that Jacob's been watching and that we've been doing this, the things that I've learned on that journey through here is that if I have any sort of influence on anybody, nobody should listen to me and use my opinions as your own. I very, very much encourage everyone to think for themselves. But if I do have any influence on anybody, I want to try to push the message of don't be a dick. It gets you nowhere. It gets, there's no successful business to be found in that end of the pool unless you're a Cornette or a Bischoff. But if you're an everyday Joe Blow and you want to create a YouTube channel where you do nothing but hate on AEW, you're not going to find anything but misery there. Or hate on anything for that matter. Fuck AEW. You can do the opposite because the first thing people are going to tell me, it's the same on the other side too. Yeah, I know. I'm not a fucking idiot. I know that. I was like, but the problem is you no longer become like the better option. They do it on the other side. The freakazoids are crazy. I'm like, well, you're out freakazoiding them in my mind. Sure, they're all crazy. They're all nuts. They need a good fucking slap in the face. But you're combating that by being worse than them. What sense does that make? By being a bigger ass bag? All you're doing is just contributing to the idiot black hole. And I feel like we got to be smarter than that. We do. We just cannot engage in that nonsense. I'm here just talking by myself. I don't have a co-host, so I'll go off on tangents or I'll go off on a rant or I might be in rare form one night or something like that. But for the most part, I'm not going to be a fucking ass bag, man. And I'm certainly not going to insult and shit on good people, make shit up in my head, decide something is true in my head, and then just saying it out there and coming to all of these assumptions and conclusions, all based on nothing but 100% pure, unadulterated hate.